c'est moi.
In the Joker movie, have you seen it yet?
Nope.
Okay. So in the Joker movie, it was so powerful to me, and you really stood out to me in that movie. The Joker, it goes through from kind of how he got to where he was, to this villain, this person who's just like over the top, when you think about him in all the other movies. Well, the Joker had in this movie, basically he every week would go to therapy. And every week this lady would, his therapist would say,
how does it feel to have to come here? Does it help to have someone to talk to?
And he would say basically the same thing over and over.
I think I felt better when I was locked up in the hospital.
And eventually the government ended up cutting funds. So she was like, the government isn't set up for people like you and I.
They've cut our funding. We're closing down our offices next week. They don't give a shit about people like you, Arthur. And they really don't give a shit about people like me either.
And it was just basically, he didn't have anyone. It was the traditional way. And what stood out to me the most was that it was so traditional that literally all he did was keep going through the same cycle over and over again. And it even tied, it was such a deep movie because with his mother suffered from mental illness as well. Well, his mom had in her mind that she was pregnant by this guy she used to work for.
You worked for him, 30 years ago? Why would he help us?
Because Thomas Wayne is a good man. If he knew how we were living, if he saw this place, it would make him sick. I can't explain it to you any better than that.
So now you have this mom who's suffering with a mental illness. She really can't help her son because she's also struggling, and she is struggling in her mind. And he did everything he could do to take care of her. But it was just crazy because people just kept messing with him. You had he was just trying to, live a normal life, and people just kept on picking with him. The young kids would come and they would. It just, to me, that movie represented so much of what we see in society today.
Yep.
They had these kids who were out of control, who, they went, they, messed with him. So then he just started to kind of live in his own mind and just recreate all of this, people were just even it was a Black woman in a movie with her son. And when he was basically on the bus, he was making her son laugh. She's like, leave my son alone.
Can you please stop bothering my kid?
I wasn't bothering him.
Just stop.
And the little baby was just laughing. But the thing is, it represented how sometimes in our mind we think we're protecting them, but in reality, it's such a deep movie. And I'll keep watching it over and over again because I think it explains a lot of what we see in society today, and it really could help people transform the way that they think about themselves and even other people.
Yeah.
And how you impact other people.
It's interesting because I have had an interest in that character, the Joker character, for a long time. I mean, from, Jack Nicholson.
You can call me Joker.
I have a special place in my heart for Heath Ledger. When he did the character, it was amazing.
This town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm going to give it to him.
When this one was coming out, now realize I don't really watch TV. I'm pretty disconnected from the mainstream. I do watch Netflix sometimes, but I'm pretty disconnected from regular society just because that was what was best for me. But I remember when people started talking about it online. So I got a feel for what the movie was about. And I would find that every now and then I would hear somebody say, oh, I can't watch that. It's too disturbing. And I would think to myself, well, imagine how it felt for him imagine how it feels for the person going through it. You know, I'm sorry it makes you uncomfortable, but hello. I mean, you know, it's like I have a very different view of the world and of people. And if someone is having that kind of torment, my instinct is to hold space for them. My instinct is to help them navigate that, because the first thing is I want to show them something that they are not being shown by the world, which is who they actually are. And one of the things that I've said to clients in the past is that part of my job for you is to hold a mirror and to keep holding a mirror for you until you see the real you clearly again. You know, for so long, the mirror that I saw myself through was broken to the point it was like trying to see myself through just like shattered dust. And I realized I didn't even really look at myself in the mirror, the actual mirror, because my view of myself was so confused and so distorted, and I couldn't get, and I don't believe in the term mental illness. Like, I just don't. I believe it's people who aren't being understood. That's what I think it is. But to get farther into that, there were so many times in the 30 years I went to counseling, not that I didn't receive help, I did, but there were so many times that I would get, so how was your week? And I would say, well, it was a fucking mess, just like every other week. What do you mean? What else you got? You know, it was like my life didn't fit some normal pattern of, well, I go and I do this thing and I complain and I do this. There was a lot more going on in my life than that. I was juggling so much stuff, and it was so frustrating. And so that post that you made impacted me so greatly. I really appreciated the tag in the post, although the tag didn't take because we weren't friends on Facebook yet. So if you want to re-tag me in that, that would be great. But I've thought about that ever since I saw that, because for me and the work that I'm trying to do, honestly, it was maybe the greatest sense of achievement and accomplishment, because one of my biggest goals is to be able to make sure that the person I'm working with feels seen, feels heard.
And that was one thing I wanted to say. Like, for me, I said if Joker would have had a Tammy coin, I think that he could have probably transformed his life, because really what he needed to be is seen and heard. Like, that's really what it was. And if people look deeper in it, they would see, like, he was, all those words that you described, he was constantly living in survival mode. He was, you know, it was just like, it literally gave me chills. And it was crazy, because I watched the movie before you and I started working together, and I was watching it again, and I said, if you had a Tammy Coyne, someone who's not traditional, who's not, you know, just the status quo, who is not just, you know, book. I remember one time I went to a therapy set. I was trying to get to a therapy session, and the lady was like, well, Ladora, I won't be able to meet with you today, and I really needed to talk to somebody that day. And she was like, well, it's unethical for us to have any sessions that are under like 30 minutes or something. And in my mind, I'm thinking, but I don't mind. I'll pay for it. I just really need to get some stuff off. And I remember leaving, or kind of like, because I was rushing to the office, and I'm just like, dang, I really wish I could have talked to somebody in that moment. But then what I realized is that, like, there's rules and regulations set around the traditional way that might not work for you, if you, depending on who you are and what you have to do. And, you know, when I think about, I've been through, like I said, I've done therapy time and time again. So when I think about therapy, I can tell you what it is on a traditional side, and I can tell you what it is on a non-traditional side. Unfortunately, the non-traditional side, you have to pay out of pocket, but your healing is worth way more than what you can pay out of pocket. That's all I can say. Your transformation is worth way more than that. So for me, it was just like one of those moments where it was just like, dang, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That damn lazy boy.